Okay, night before we leave, car's loaded up on the trailer. I'm gonna try and do this video a little bit different. We're gonna try and do it as like a vlog style. So I'm just gonna kind of be carrying the camera with me, keeping track of what's going on. Right now, first step, car on the trailer, going on a bit of a road trip. Let's go make some power with the Evo. Made it to Kentucky. Maybe about 10 hours or so left to go. Not too bad. Made it through day one. Still on the road. We're about 5 hours from our destination, a little bit south of Atlanta. Car's doing good. The big white van that we're towing it with, it's doing awesome. It's an E250 and tows like a champ. It's got a ton of room in the back. We're gonna sleep here tonight, head out in the morning, get on the road nice and early, get to our destination, do a little bit more work to the car. We do have to change out some wastegate springs, change out an oil pressure sensor, and then the next day after that is our dyno appointment. But we do have to make a pit stop the morning before we go to the dyno to pick up another part at a place that I'm pretty excited to go to because I've never been there. Get some sleep for tonight. Well, remember how I said the van was doing great? We seem to have shredded the belt. Just nice. Luckily, we're in the Walmart parking lot and it's not too bad of a job to do. It's a little tight to get down in there, but should be doable in the parking lot. And don't know why I did it now, but well, since we're broken down in the parking lot, this isn't exactly where I wanted to do this, but if you remember, I said there were a couple things left that I needed to do to the Evo before we went to the dyno. And one of those things is to change out the wastegate springs. So while I wait for a belt to get here for our tow vehicle, I'm gonna go ahead and swap out these wastegate springs while it's still daylight. Right now there's just a blue and yellow spring in there. I'm going to be adding a white spring on top of that, which will bring me from 16 psi base spring pressure to 23 psi base spring pressure, and that's what the car will run on 93, and then we'll do all of the boost control on E85 if we can get the ethanol content sensor to work, because that right now is our big what if. There's a lot of birds around here. Enjoy the ambiance. Yeah. When I put these on here, I promised myself I'd never take them back off because I thought they'd be impossible to line back up. We're gonna find that out today. Now it's time to get this van fixed. So this belt has to be fed down in between the tensioner. Back over that one. Yeah, I think we're good. Not cool. Since we're down in Florida and I need an oil pressure sensor to pick it up, we've come to a pretty cool place. We're here at Real Street Performance, just picking up a sensor. We take a look at the showroom once we get inside, and then we're gonna head over to the dyno. doing another boost leak test now that we're here at the dyno. Getting ready, make sure that everything's good to go. So do this boost leak test real quick. Then it's we gonna work on the idle a little bit more, or
yeah, I'm gonna go through everything.
Go through everything, and then
go through it like if I never connected to it.
Okay. And then we'll just make sure everything's perfect, and then hopefully we'll be making some power. Finally got the car loaded up on the dyno. We got Desmond here. He's going to be doing on the keyboard the beeps and boops, and we're going to do some drivability stuff first, and then we're going to start getting into the power runs. We got 24 psi springs in the gates right now, so we're going to be on 93 for the first little bit. We're just going to be running on Wastegate spring. Once we move over to E85, we're going to be turning it up. I'll let Desmond talk a little bit about it as well.
Yeah, I want it to turn on faster. I want it to run, you know, feel like it's everything's aftermarket, but I want it to run like factory, you know. I don't want you to sit there, crank, and then it fires. Like I want it, as soon as you hit that key, boom, fires right over. Both fuels. We're gonna try to get that right for both fuels today. But pretty much just work the drivability. I know we connected remotely and we got the stuff, a lot of stuff kinks worked out. But after resetting the timing on that, I want to make sure we just verify everything again. Make sure it just runs good, you know, comfortable, clean. It's not struggling, it's not jerking, it's just nothing. Every gear I want to go through, make sure it's good. And once I feel like drivability looks good, then we'll kind of start working some small pulls, you know, 3 to 5. If that looks, pull the log, see what that looks like. 3 to 6 or 6.5 if that looks good, and 3 to 7, so 7.5 if that looks good. And then I think I have your red line on this, like about like 8,400. I don't have a set place where I want a red line yet. I'll see where the power curve is. I'll see how much power is making up top. If the car has a nice curve and the power is still there up top, then I'll set it higher, you know. But if it doesn't, there's no point of trying to rev it out higher if it doesn't need it. So, you know, this smaller turbo, so it might hit pretty strong low and mid, but it may be out of steam by the high RPMs, but we'll see. But I just want to make sure everything's good. I told you to go with the stronger gate spring pressures. This way we have the strong pressure whenever we go to E85. Because if you had came in at like 17 or 18 pounds on the gate, by the time we went to E85, we want to turn it up and trying to get to like the upper 30s or even 40 if you want, you know, depending on where we at with it and how well the turbo keeps climbing. You know, if everything looks good, we'll pull plugs. We'll see how the condition looks. You know, if fuel pressure looks good too, you do have a mini regulator on there, so we'll have to monitor. Definitely gonna be monitoring fuel pressure like crazy, because it has to be 1-to-1. We got to see that. I don't want to see no drop off and build, or sometimes I've seen cars on certain small regulators, the fuel pressure builds and it's like plateauing, and the boost is going up and it's plateauing, and then all of a sudden I started to see it kind of spike up a little bit more. So we want to make sure that looks good. Just go through everything, you know, take our time. You came the distance, you know, 16-hour drive all the way to Florida, so we want to make sure we get pump gas ironed out good, get E85 ironed out good, go for a test drive, we load it back up, and you have a good experience.
The car's running just a little bit on the hot side. I know we got like a half-size radiator and everything in the car, and we are down here in Florida. It's pretty hot, but we are going to just double check, rebleed everything, just to make sure there's no air pockets in the system before we start doing any type of like pulls or anything. The car, after we got the idle worked a little bit, the car was running a little bit hot, but it's been sitting for a minute now that it's on the dyno while we were strapping it down and everything, so it's cooled off. So we're gonna just make sure that the system's good before we do anything further. We got the idle up, like up to temperature, got the thermostat to open up, and a couple of bubbles did come out of there, so we're hoping that covers the overheating issue that we were having. It wasn't really overheating, but it was just running a little bit hot. So I think Desmond's in the car right now working on like some of the tables to convert to E85, like while we're just sitting here waiting for this. So once he's done there, I think we'll be able to turn the car off, get the coolant system sealed back up, and then finally start to be able to do some pulls on the dyno. So getting close. Ready to make our first power pull on 93. Just made our first pull. As you saw on the screen, made about 405. Desmond said that the boost was a little bit higher than we wanted it to be. We're trying to run on just gate spring on this fuel. This is melted right here.
Yep, there you go.
So the reason that it was over boosting on 93 was this right here. My dumb little push locks that I used to make everything try and look real pretty bit me. As you can see here, the lines are now run away from anything that's hot. It's not the prettiest setup right now, but it'll work. These lines used to run through there, which I thought might have been a big enough gap to be away from everything hot, but obviously not the case, as you can see with what's going on here. Hopefully now we'll be able to control the boost. We can keep going. Like I did with the Focus, just draining it out of the return line. The Evos have drain plugs on the bottom of the fuel tank, but this is just quicker. Don't have to jack the car up, makes it nice and easy. Fresh plugs in, E85 in the tank. Let's see what it can do. A little bit of cruising on the dyno, just making sure that everything looks good for E85 so that it's running right whenever it's not just full power mode. So a lot of time spent making sure that the car runs well, which is nice. Yeah.
So the plugs look good. Every cylinder looks very good, very even.
Well, guys, unloading the car from the dyno right now. We're still going to take it for a test drive, but we ran into a couple of problems with the car itself. Having some breakup issues as you can see in some of the pulls. Upper RPMs as we're trying to turn the boost up. A little bit of a ignition breakup issue. We think that it's coming from the coils that are on there. It's got GTR coils on it right now. I moved to the GTR coils from the Toyota, the Denso coils, thinking that it was going to be an upgrade. But it turns out in Desmond's experience that the GTR coils maybe aren't the best coil for an Evo. So we're going to unload the car off of the dyno, take it out for a bit of a test drive because it is very drivable right now. Like the tune is very solid as far as like drivability goes. But as soon as you start pushing it, trying to make as much power as we can on E85, that's when we're kind of getting that cut up issue with the ignition. So I think we're going to take the car home, and even though this was a very long drive, I'm going to take the car home, fix some of the little issues that we had when we were on the dyno, maybe put a lower thermostat in it, make sure that it's not running as hot as it was, swap out back to the Denso coils to see if we can fix this breakup issue, and then I think we're going to finish this tuning session with Desmond Performance Destination on the street, which is more fun, maybe, because I get to drive it, but also kind of wanted to see what kind of power numbers it makes. So after it gets street tuned, might have to put it back on another dyno to see kind of what it does if we don't bring it back. Numbers ended up on some of these partial pulls that we were doing when we were having some breakup issues in the low 500s. The highest number that we made was 537, but sort of like just over 500 when we were getting some of the cleaner pulls. But in and out breakup issues, and we think that it's the coil, so not too bad of a swap considering like what we've done to the car. The Ohm Racing harness is built for the R35 coils, so I will have to like de-pin and repin some Denso connectors for the Denso coils, but I think that the plate from JDC is the same, so I just need to get some coils, swap out the connectors, and we should be good to go. But overall, solid. Like the drivability of the car. Towards the end there, we worked on the rolling anti-lag, which you'll see in the video. That seems like it's going to be a lot of fun on the street. So we'll take it for a test drive and kind of see how it runs on the street. I guess another thing to note is like that low 500 number that it made is obviously not the final number that the car could potentially make. Like it still had a lot left in it. Like as we were looking at some of the power runs, like it's ramping up nicely. Like we think that the car can make mid 6, upper 6s, maybe even touch 7 if everything was working properly. So right now it's kind of like tamed out until we can fix the issue. This was on, I think, like low 30 PSI when we got like clean runs in. So there's still a lot left on the table, and the car will make more power than what it did, but it's just kind of like the issues that we were having with it, and we'll get it sorted out, start making some power, hopefully. I feel like I've said that at the end of a lot of videos, but yeah, let's take it out for a drive.
Oh yeah.
That breakup.
Yeah. Second gear pull.
So full throttle?
All right. Go to 4. Ready? 1, 2. You feel the slingshot effect of that?
Yeah, a little bit. That feels good. So we made it back home to freezing Missouri. Got the car off the trailer, back in the garage. Just kind of wanted to collect my final thoughts on the trip and having the car not perform the way that we wanted it to, but also sort of look forward to what's coming up next because of that. So first of all, the car breaking up on the dyno, not doing exactly what we thought it would do to make the power that we wanted it to make is not really that big of a deal. It was a bit of a long trip to not have it work out, but I think that while we were there, we learned quite a bit. Finishing the car on the street is not really that big of a deal. We can still connect remotely. Desmond sort of knows how this car performs and reacts to the changes that he makes now that he's had it there in person on the dyno. Makes things a lot easier moving forward. The car had a little bit of an oil leak while it was there because the oil pressure sensor that got swapped out didn't have any Teflon tape on it because I was in a parking lot, not at home, didn't have everything I needed. We'll get that lined out. We'll get the coils swapped out. We stopped at JDC, which just happened to be on the way home. Stopped at their shop, picked up some Denso coils and some connectors, a few little other small goodies. Those guys are awesome. Big shout out to the guys at JDC. John, Paul welcomed us in to the shop, showed us around, showed us some very, very cool cars while we were there. Those guys were awesome. So big shout out to those guys. Just to kind of finalize everything, I do want to say another big shout out. Drove all the way down to Orlando. Big drive for us. And Desmond at Performance Destination definitely lives up to his reputation. Like, customer service through the roof. This car showed up and it did not have what I thought any issues going into this. And then right away we had the boost control issue with the vacuum lines, a little bit of the overheating issue, and then the breakup issue while we were there. And every single step of the way, he went the extra mile, always trying to help, trying to come up with solutions. Never one time just said, like, hey, you brought me a car that isn't ready for this, get it off my dyno. It was just, let's figure this out. We took up way more of his time than we probably should have, but he was there for it the whole time and helped out, and even continued to help out when I got the car home and messaged him. So big, huge shout out to Desmond, and hopefully he gets a video out of this too, and we can get back together, and we will in the future in order to make this car 100%. Next week was supposed to be starting into the super build, but we want to finish this one first. So stay tuned, whether you're an Evo fan or a Supra fan. Subscribe, there's more coming. And big plans for 2026. So definitely stay tuned.
I just wanna see you back.